There are 8 characteristics of living things. The first one is that they have to be made up of cells. So anything that's living by scientific standards has to be made up of cells. And I guess I should say cell. The smallest would just be a single cell, you and I being made up of millions of cells. A cell is the smallest unit that is considered living. So you can't be living and be smaller than a cell. One cell would be as small as it gets. The second characteristic is that all living things reproduce. There are 2 different ways that living things can reproduce. You do one of 2. You cannot do both of these. Humans, for instance, reproduce sexually, where it requires a cell from a mother and a father in order to combine and form new living life. That would be sexual reproduction. The other type is called asexual reproduction. And in asexual reproduction, you only would have a single parent, and that single parent could split in half. There are certain types of worms that if you cut them in half, you actually get 2 worms instead of 1. This is a picture of a hydra right here. And a hydra, this is showing budding. So you can see the new life kind of budding off from the parent. They will have exactly the same DNA. They will be identical in every way. But that is asexual reproduction when it only involves one parent. A third characteristic of living things is that we all have a universal genetic code. Most of us have heard of DNA. DNA has all the directions that you need for your own characteristics, as well as you'll be passing some of that DNA on to your children someday. But all living things have this DNA, and we'll get more into that when we get into genetics. All living things grow and develop. Now, obviously, you can look back at some baby pictures or pictures from elementary school and see that you have grown over the course of time. But even a single-celled organism does start as a smaller single cell, and it does grow. So there is growth and development for all living things, regardless of multicellular or singulars or a single cell. A fifth characteristic would be that we all have to maintain um, energy. We all have to obtain it by eating or getting energy from the sun in the case of plants, but we also have to use that energy. When we use that energy, we think of metabolism. Your metabolism is all of the chemical reactions within your body that help you to survive. So a lot of people think of metabolism just being able to eat certain foods, and people with high metabolism can eat a lot and they stay skinny, and that's not necessarily the case. Your metabolism doesn't just involve the digestion of your food. Your metabolism involves your heartbeat, your lungs moving in and out, your brain working, all of the chemical reactions that take place inside your body that you need in order to survive is metabolism. So digestion of food is only a very, very small part of that. A sixth characteristic is that you have to respond to your environment. And anything that you um, signal that you respond to is called a stimulus. So we know at a young age, if you touch a hot stove, you're going to get burnt. You're responding to that. We respond to bright light by squinting. You respond to temperatures by sweating or getting goosebumps if you're cold. So all of those are things that you respond to. We all respond to things in our environment. We also have to maintain a stable internal environment. And this word, homeostasis, is a key one that'll show up usually on the ECA test at the end of biology. What that means is that inside of your body, you have things that have to maintain a certain balance. Your heart rate usually is a certain number. Your blood sugar should stay within a certain range. Your cholesterol should be within a certain range. And if it gets too high or too low, then you can have medical problems. So homeostasis is trying to maintain those normal ranges. And the eighth characteristic of living things is that we all change over time. Yes, that deals with growth and development, but humans, over the course of even 100 years, we see changes over time. This particular picture shows a moth population, and due to some environmental issues that were happening, there weren't a lot of dark moths at the time, but over the course of time, those dark moths actually increased in population and the lighter colored moths decreased in population. Um, but all living things do change over time. And those are the 8 characteristics of living things.